if you're someone living in the diaspora, whether in the UK, Canada, Australia, USA, and so on, is it better to retire in the diaspora or is it better to retire back home? Now, let's look at the facts and also the practicality. So, as you know, people have different scenarios. This video is not going to cover pretty much everyone. Some of you have 3 mortgages and you can support it. Some of you have a house here in the diaspora and several houses there in Zimbabwe and so on. This is just the average person. You came here, perhaps maybe you have a mortgage, or you came here, you're in the middle and you're deciding whether it's better to retire in the UK or to retire in Zimbabwe. This is the video for you. All right, so let's take a look and see the 2 sides here. The main thing in retirement is you're going to need a house. You're going to need somewhere to live. This, I mean, there's no way around this one. You have to have a house. So in the case of Zimbabwe, you have to have your house, whether you're going to have it in the rural areas or you're going to have it in the city, you have to have a house. And this is how it's done in Zimbabwe. In the UK, chances are you have to get a mortgage. Okay, of course, when you pay for it, that's a different case. Now let's take a look at what happens now. You've got your house, you're going to need to have some money coming from somewhere to sustain your day-to-day and to sustain, pretty much everything you need, around you as you are in retirement. Then in the Zimbabwean case, you're going to need a project. You're going to need something that generates money. There is no way out of this one. There is no way out of it. You are going to need something that generates money. And I would advise you, if you're going to depend on, let's say, I've got children who can take care of me in retirement, things have changed. And I don't want you to make that as a plan because the kids can have their own plans too, and you'll be very disappointed. Okay, let's move on to the UK. The UK, most people will rely on a what? On a pension, right? So you have a house and then you have a pension, okay? Now, let's move on to the next part. In Zimbabwe, you're going to need a very good source of water because the water that we used to have back in the day is pretty much not the same anymore. You're going to need a very good source of water. So you need to drill a borehole or you need to have a well, but I advise you have a borehole, okay? In the UK, of course, we have water, electricity, council tax. Whereas in Zimbabwe, the main 2 things you need is water and electricity. And the good news is, now in Zimbabwe, you can drill a borehole, and for electricity, you don't have to rely on ZESA. You can have your own solar system, and with like 5,000, you can really have a very good supply of electrical energy. So as you can see here, these are the 2 parallels. You have a house, you need a project, you need a good water supply, you also need electricity. Of course, there are other things like you need a car and so on and so forth, but we're just keeping it basic here. Over here now, you have your mortgage, your pension, and your water, electricity, and this one here is very, very important. You can't skip council tax. You still have to pay that even in retirement. All right, so moving on, what you're going to find now is things start getting very exciting because when you move on now to, let's say, the Zimbabwean case, when it comes to your water and electricity, it's a one-off payment. I mean, gas is so cheap. LPG gas is so cheap, I don't even want to include it here. We can't even compare, okay? It's a one-off payment. Whereas, if you decide to retire in the UK, the water, electricity, council tax is ongoing. Even if you're in retirement, it's ongoing. This is something that you have to what? You have to consider. And this can be, for me, yeah, that's a challenge. That's a big challenge because these bills here, your water, electricity, gas, I forgot to add gas there, and council tax, that's a lot of money every month. And if you're relying on a pension, think again. Now, let's move on to the next part. Of course, you need food. You need food. In the case of the UK, you have your supermarkets, and pretty much that's it. Now, I know some of you are going to say we have farm shops, blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking about just basically speaking. You have Asda, Tesco, Morrison's, and I know some of you say, Mr. Ruwa, you know what? I shop at Waitrose. Yeah, that's fine. The idea is here, we only go to get food from supermarkets, and that's it. End of story, for the most part. In Zimbabwe now, Yes, we have your Pick and Pay, which is pretty much like your Asda or Tesco. We have OK, we have TM and all that kind of stuff, right? But the most important thing is you have more options now. If you're in Harare, you can go to Mbare, buy all your vegetables there because that's where all the farmers go. That's your farmers market. Everyone goes there. Anything you want to buy, your potatoes, sweet potatoes, groundnuts, you name it, you can find it there. And you know what? You can actually grow your own. This is a fantastic option. And for me, someone who's passionate about eating healthy food, because obviously, when you go towards retirement, you don't want to be messing around with your body because you don't want to spend too much time in the hospital. You need good organic food. So for me, I like growing it myself. So for example, I'll have my Roadrunner chickens, 10 of them, so I can have eggs every day. I can grow my own broilers so I can have meat, which I know this is really nice chicken, grow it myself, and that's what I'll consume. Thirdly, I can grow all my own vegetables. I can grow all of them because the space is there, the climate is good, and everything is great. But I know you are going to say, but Ruwa, the healthcare, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. You cannot compare the healthcare system in Zimbabwe versus the healthcare system in the UK. So then what? So here's the thing you need to be aware of. Remember, in the previous slides, I mentioned that you need some sort of a project that generates money. Right. That project should sustain you and also cover your what? Your bills, your hospital bills. Now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. From what I've seen, I may be delusional, but from what I see when I'm on the ground in Zimbabwe, the healthcare is there, but it's expensive. You want your scans done, you can get them done on the day. But it's expensive. $500 here, $1,000 here, and you're going to say, but not everyone can afford this. I'm not talking about everyone in this video. I'm not talking about the whole population in Zimbabwe in this video. I'm talking about you thinking of retiring, or if you're on the fence about retiring. That's who I'm addressing. I'm not addressing the whole nation. So I'm saying, if you want to decide whether you're going to retire in the UK or in Zimbabwe, these are the sort of things you need to be thinking about. So here's the thing. You need to have money coming in from your project. That is the money that you're going to use to get an operation done or to get some expensive treatments done and so on. Even better, wouldn't it be great if you can have extra money where if you want treatment, you can just fly over to your diaspora country, whatever it is, if you still have your citizenship? Wouldn't it be better? But living where? In the country that you want. In this case, it's a choice between the UK and Zimbabwe. Now, let's talk about what happens now. You are really, really old. You'll find that in Zimbabwe, you have a network of people. Relatives, friends, you name it, around you. In the UK, you now have to go to a care home. And that bill can be very, very expensive. In fact, I've heard that in some cases, people have to sell their house. Imagine now that house that you bought on mortgage, you have to sell it to cover your what? Your bills for the home. Isn't that crazy? So you've worked so hard for your house, and now that house has to pay your bills for the retirement home. So here's the thing. You really need to think about these things that I'm talking about, because if you just do it because everyone else is doing it, you might be missing out on other opportunities. There's something that really caught my eye when I was in Zimbabwe. My young brother, I'm sure some of you saw my video. My young brother, his 2 kids passed on. It was a tragic situation. It was heavy on us, the family members, because this was my young brother. It's very close, It was very heavy on us. We're talking about the whole process was so expensive. And emotionally, we needed people. If I tell you that there are people that traveled, relatives that I hadn't seen for many, many years. We're talking about 15, 20, 30 years. They came to the funeral. it took the whole weight off our shoulders because emotionally there were people there. And not only that, people in the neighborhood, they all came, supported us, and it was amazing. It was priceless. Now imagine a tragedy like that happens while you're in the diaspora. I'm pretty sure you can agree with me that you'd feel lonely. You'd feel very lonely. Right now, it started raining. It's the beginning of October. It's going to go on and on and on like this until March, April. We're indoors. It's not even comfortable going out. It's raining. You're in your retirement. So you're just going to be sitting, and the routine is just not exciting. But in the case of Zimbabwe, there's a lot of activities to do. There's a lot of activities, and the sun, the weather allows you to do that. The vibe is different. It's very exciting. So when it comes to retirement, don't make it political. Really think about it. Sit down. Get all the distractions out of the way. Sit down and really think what you really want, and then make a decision. And by the way, this video is not me telling you you should retire in Zimbabwe or you should retire at this place or that place or whatever. This is just a video to just give you an insight to compare the two sides. Yes, things can be very expensive in Zimbabwe. I agree. But so are they in the UK, because if they were not expensive in the UK, people will be buying them cash. But they're expensive, and that is why you end up buying it on credit. The house, you have to get it on a mortgage, because buying it in Zimbabwe, cash is very expensive. The car, if you want a new car, you have to get it on finance. In Zimbabwe, you have to pay cash. So what I'm saying is, if you want to establish a retirement plan for Zimbabwe, you got to save money, and pretty much this is what you need. You don't want to go there old age, you're in your 60s, 70s, and you're complaining about ZESA. No, you don't want that stress. Come on. You want to get high blood pressure at those ages. Why? You can just buy a solar system, and that's it. 99.9% of the time in Zimbabwe, the sun is out. So you're sorted. You don't have to complain about council water. This water is dirty, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because you have a borehole. Buy your filters, you have a borehole, you have your water, sorted. And one thing I can tell you is, don't be ashamed that you're going to live in the village. You're going to live, personally, me, I'm sick and tired of city life. I want to live away from all the craziness. That is for people who, prefer the glamour of the city and all of that. With me, the plan is to live on the farm. To live on the farm. Why would I want to buy a house for 200,000, even if I had the cash? 500,000, then go and buy a house out there. Why? I wouldn't want that. I want to live on the farm. Stay active. Have all my activities all at the farm. If I need anything out, I drive out, come back to the farm. Make it secure, make it safe. That's me. That's what I would like. City life, no. It's too much. It's too chaotic. With the way that I've lived in the diaspora here, why do I need that? So that's just me. So you'll find that there are people who are like, you know what? I am done with the city life. I just want to relax where I can breathe fresh air. And that's all I'm looking for. And there are people like that. So this is where you need to really consider where you want to be. Now, there's also a group of people that have missed out on opportunities of getting a mortgage, and they've also missed out on an opportunity to build a house back home or buy a house back home. And right now they're stuck. I'm going to say to you, you need to join a group of like-minded people. Like, for example, we have Kumusha Investments. This is a group of diasporans which are like-minded, which are willing to help each other. It's almost like a movement of wanting to improve and make things life easier for us. Retirement is inevitable. If you're not thinking about retirement, trust me, you don't want to be surprised when the time comes. And you may say, I'm I'm in my mid-40s. I don't care. The body slows down. No doubt. I don't have the energy that I used to have in my 30s. Hell no. I mean, it's changing, and I'm not even 50 yet. So imagine how much you'll be putting your body through until you're 70 or 60, 65. And you're heading towards your retirement, 60, 65. You're still working at the pace that you're working now. And also something that I forgot to mention is these prices that we're talking about, the gas, the electric, the bills, food, petrol, they keep going up. They keep going up. The inflation keeps going up. There's even a percentage, I think it's 3% per year inflation, roughly. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what's happening here in the West. Whereas in Zimbabwe, if you don't have money, it's not bad. I've been in situations where I'm so broke, but I know I have eggs, I have chicken from the farm, I have vegetables in the garden. You can't go hungry. How? And I'm not talking for everyone in Zimbabwe. I'm talking about us individuals who've come to the diaspora and are thinking of retiring. That's what I'm addressing here. You have your chickens here, you have your vegetables. You can even go pamsika and say, hey, I need to buy 1 onion so I can cook my meal today. And just borrow 1 onion. And life continues. You see, and the ways of making money. Remember I mentioned the project you need to make money. The project doesn't have to be anything sophisticated. It doesn't. There are so many ways to have something that generates money. One, maybe as part of your project to make money, you can decide, you know what, I'm going to buy a small car and use it as in-drive. And every day, perhaps you're getting what? $30, $40 profit. I don't know the actual figures. Don't quote me on this. I don't know. Maybe some people make even more. So that's money that's covering, your fuel, your day-to-day stuff, buy bread, and so on. It can be, maybe, you want to invest in cold rooms. Do you know how many people have vegetables that go bad because there's no storage? Refrigeration. That could be a way of making money. You charge people every day. It could be you're selling ice. Could be you are selling growing vegetables to sell. It could be anything. Grafting trees and selling trees. There's so many ideas. For me, I know I keep talking about chickens because that's my passion. I love chickens, So that's why I talk about that. I'm not saying everyone should go into chickens. If you don't like it, don't even try to go into it. It's not for you. But as for me, like I said, I enjoy chickens and animals and just being close to the earth. I enjoy that. It gives me this sense of peace. So you have to decide what you want to do. Maybe you're very good at baking. You want to sell cakes. You could be hired to do cakes for weddings. You name it. Maybe you're good at training. You can open up a little training school. That project has to be something that's generating money. So that's something you have to think about. So I want to hear from you in this video. In the video description. Where do you prefer to retire and why? Leave your comments in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.